the brother said in the world religions class, he heard a perspective that Iblis, when he refused to prostrate to Adam, it wasn't out of arrogance or jealousy, it was out of his love for God, because he wanted to uphold monotheism and not be distracted by anything except God. So he rejected prostrating to Adam because he wanted to only worship God. How do we respond to that? Is this something that's acceptable? The Quran is very clear that Iblis violated the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and as a result he was cursed. So what Iblis did, whatever it was to begin with, we know it was bad. It was something that Allah condemns in the Holy Quran. It was an act of disobedience. So this kind of analysis does not fit with the tone of the Holy Quran. Because if we accept this analysis, that means Iblis was good intentioned. He was well intentioned. And you should not get cursed for having a good intention like that. So we know whatever basically pushed him to disobey God was something evil, not something good. Now let's shed light on this. The reason why this story in the Quran of Iblis disobeying God is so important is the following. When Iblis said, "Oh Allah, spare me, i'fini an as-sujud li Adam, spare me, and I shall worship you in a way no other creation has worshipped you." What did Allah tell him? What was the response from God? Iblis, u'budni kama uridu ana, la kama turidu ant. The core of ibadah and worship is this statement. Allah tells him, Iblis, you really want to worship me? Worship me the way I want, not the way you want. The minute you worship God the way you want, your desire dictates, your thought dictates, you're worshiping yourself. You're worshiping your ego, not God. A true believer is the one who worships God, not his ego. Iblis had ego. God, I don't want this thing in front of me who looks like clay. I want to worship you. Allah said, no. You want to worship me? Through Adam. That's how I want it. Can you humble yourself towards that? He failed. He failed. It wasn't out of his love for God. It was out of his love for his ego. Because he's like, with all my history and worship, I'm not going to bow down to this blob of clay. Because remember, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the angels to prostrate to Adam, Adam did not have life yet. He was in clay form. And Shaitan, he found this ridiculous. With all my history, I'm going to bow down to this piece of clay. He loved his ego, not God. Allah says, worship me the way I want, not the way you want. We have a story of one of the prophets. He was good at making items from clay, pottery. Once Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals to him, to his prophet, I want you to make a set of pottery for me. Now imagine if you're a craftsman and you create crafts and the next customer is God. Imagine that. Imagine that, right? God is asking you for the next item to be produced. How will you make that item? Oh, it's going to be the best of the best. You're going to be very meticulous. There is no fraud in it. There is no shortcomings. You'll make it the best of the best. God is going to buy it from you. Allah said, make it for me. I want to buy it from you. So he went, he made the best pottery. It took him days and days. He let it dry under the sun. And finally, he completed them. He says, God, here's the set of pottery that I made for you. Allah revealed to him, okay, thank you. Now destroy them. Break them. Initially, he was maybe a little bit confused. He hesitated. He's like, should I object? I mean, I worked hard on this. Now I break them? But he's like, well, that's God. I'll obey him. He broke them. Allah revealed to him, my prophet, had you hesitated and challenged me, I would have removed you from list of prophets. When you did that, who was it for? Who was it for? For me. So if it's for me, whatever I tell you to do with it, do it. If you don't, you're worshiping your ego, not God. You don't care about what He wants. You want what you want. And that's why Iblis failed. And it reveals all his acts of worship were for what? For self-recognition, for ego. I worshipped God. It wasn't really for God. And this is a lesson in our lives, my dear brothers and sisters. When you deal with your family members, when you deal with a business partner, friends, colleagues, co-workers, always ask yourself, am I really worshiping God the way He wants? Or is it my ego dictating to me? And sometimes that gets blurred, and we cannot see the difference between the two. So what these Sufis say is totally unacceptable. And by the way, what they say perfectly fits in with the Wahhabi ideology. We talked about this last year in our series on Shafa'ah. The Wahhabis, their ideology is, you worship God directly. No Shafa'ah. Don't go to the Prophet or the Ahlul Bayt and worship Allah through them. That's the exact mentality of Iblis. Because when Allah appointed Adam as the first gate, Allah told the angels, the purest of His creations, you want to worship me? You go through Adam. The only one who challenged God was the Wahhabi ideology at the time. No, this is shirk. Why? Allah, you're there. I worship you directly. I don't need this makhluk. I can talk to you directly. Allah said, no. You don't want it? Get out of here. SubhanAllah, from day one, Allah lays the foundation of our beliefs. They challenge you with shafa'ah, shirk. Wallahi, they have not understood this verse in the Quran. They'll read it 1,000,000 times like parrots, not knowing what they read. Why did Allah command the angels to do sujood to Adam? Allah is saying, I have appointed gates. You want to come to me? You go through these gates. If you don't go through that gate, you're not worshiping me. You're worshiping your ego. You're worshiping your own thoughts. I want to be worshipped the way I want to be worshipped. And that's the beautiful lesson that we learned from this.